Oh man, I can't even remember how we introduce these things.
Same, legit. I can't remember either.
I think that would be our intro. I might leave that in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that was a strange intro, but we're back for episode 8 of our Manchester United podcast. Never ignored. You've probably forgotten who we are. So I'm MT.
Hello, everyone. I'm Aleem.
Yeah. So we took about 2 months off, 3 months, a year. I don't know. Time's a bit of a mystery nowadays. But the Premier League's back, so we're back. This is our project restart. Yeah, we just thought we'd go over how the restart's gone so far, and then United have got Spurs tomorrow. You might be hearing this on Friday, so today. But yeah, Aleem, I don't know. How excited that the football's back?
Mixed feelings. Probably, I definitely. So, if you'd asked me this question before the games that happened last night, so Villa and Arsenal City
Villa
games,
Sheffield.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would have said not very excited because have been basing that on my experience of the Bundesliga. I'm glad that chapter's over in my life. I tried to give the
Not a fan of
Bundesliga a
German
go.
football then.
I tried to give it a go, and maybe it's unfair because I've never really watched a full 90 minutes prior to the COVID world. But I found it. I just ended up falling asleep a lot of the time. I tried to watch Dortmund because Jadon Sancho, why not?
Future United legend. Yeah.
Exactly. So I thought get there early doors, but yeah, I just couldn't pay much attention, and I don't know if there was a lot of sloppiness, and I put that down to lack of match fitness. But then I don't know because I watched the game yesterday, the Villa Sheffield game, and they were quite unsloppy. I'd say you could tell there was a bit of lack of just general fitness, but the actual quality of football was still pretty slick and sharp. And the same in the City game, well, more so for Manchester City. But yeah, the football quality was still there. So I'm definitely feeling more excited now. I was a bit cautious prior to watching yesterday's
Uh,
games. But how did you find it?
yeah, I mean, I didn't watch any of the German football or anything like that because I cancelled my BT Sport and I decided I'm not going to bring it back just for games that I have no interest in, no matter how much I was missing football. I'm still debating whether I'm going to bring it back for the Premier League. I guess it depends what channel United are going to be on the most, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I really did not enjoy yesterday. I enjoyed the 2 minutes where we had, for the 5 minutes where we had that massive VAR controversy, or goal line technology controversy, which I mean, I've never seen goal line technology get anything wrong, but that was horrendous.
So I read
Um,
that it was in over 9,000 simulations that had never
yeah,
happened.
and apparently they're claiming that the goal line technology cameras got blocked. I mean, if anyone didn't see it, Sheffield had a free kick. I don't know who took it, but the Villa keeper's caught it, fallen backwards into the net, and he's literally sat down in the net with the ball in the net. The ball's touching the side netting and the post, so he's fully behind the line. And you can tell from the look on his face, he knows what he's done as well.
100%.
But for some reason, goal line technology didn't give it. The referee didn't give it, and then for some reason, I've not heard the excuse yet. VAR didn't even look at it. So yeah, I mean that was fun for a bit. That was a bit exciting. But the rest of the game, I know you said the quality was maybe better than the German league, but that was a really boring game for Sheffield Villa.
I have a very strong suspicion with the going back to the goal line technology stuff
Yeah.
that I feel like they just forgot to turn it on. I genuinely do.
Well, so they're saying that it was apparently working. It's just it got blocked by the goalkeeper.
But did you hear what Jamie Redknapp said in the studio at halftime? Genuinely, he said
Well,
that
I didn't hear what Redknapp said, but on BBC they were suggesting that if goal line technology can get blocked by a goalkeeper, they might have a few issues because generally you tend to find goalkeepers in in goal. Yeah, most of the time. So they are usually around when these kind of incidents happen. But
So what Jamie Redknapp said at halftime was that I don't know what his source was, and he was saying this in all seriousness that the referee's watch started going off at halftime to say goal. So for some
right.
reason there had been some kind of delay, and I feel like they had just turned it on, and then the notification went through.
Or someone had it on do not disturb or something. They forgot the football had started. Or,
Yeah, or there was some kind of software update, and they just forgot to do it, and I, I, I think
yeah, I don't know.
I think it
It
was
was a mess
literally
really.
something as silly as that.
I mean, I'm not a fan of. I think I don't know if we discussed it before. I don't like technology in sport really. But goal line technology was one of the few that I was fine with
Yeah,
because it seemed to have been flawless and it seemed to have been instantaneous as well. And last night it's made me think, oh, you look back at some of the things like I don't know if you remember the Liverpool Salah and John Stones one where it's like two
millimeters. Yeah,
centimeters, yeah, or 2 millimeters or whatever, without going over. It makes you wonder how accurate that actually was now.
honestly,
um,
I had no doubt before what happened
yeah, same.
yesterday.
Before I used to think, oh, this is actually really useful. It's instant, and it's actually it adds something to the game.
I
Now I'm
almost
like,
I almost feel for the referee as well because
uh,
he probably knows it went in, but he's kind of thinking the watch is telling me it hasn't, so I
well,
can't say it has.
that's the other thing is, I suppose to be fair to him, he's probably had the same experience that it's always been right, so
Yeah,
he's doubting what he's seeing with his own eyes.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree.
um,
It,
But even if even when they got it wrong, the amount of camera angles Sky had, VAR surely had to get that right.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, it was
why I've not heard why they haven't made it, why they didn't get involved. But
my assumption is that usually the goal line technology is so definitive that they don't question it, and normally that's completely fine. But when something crazy like what yesterday happened was, then
yeah, I get it. Just
then common
yesterday
sense
just
needs to
seemed,
come in. Yeah,
yeah. And surely Michael Oliver, he could have said to him, "Look, guys, I'm not sure about that one. um, can you have a look?" I don't know if he's allowed to ask him to look at VAR, but
I haven't got a clue.
surely someone needed to say something.
I was quite overall I'd say I don't know what's the word impressed with Sky's coverage. If I take away the fact that they were incredibly they were trying their best to just make this the most dramatic thing that's ever happened in the world. That the constant referral to it's been 100 days, as if some kind of I don't know drought or famine has occurred, and we're finally getting some
Yeah,
water.
that was one thing I didn't really like actually was that they kind of made it a bit too much about the football, if you know what I mean. Like
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think
we
that
we were discussing, was it 40,000 people have died?
yeah.
They needed the tone. I don't think was quite right. When Jamie Redknapp at the start was like, "Oh yeah, this is going to be a massive boost to the nation," that kind of stuff. It
I,
didn't quite sit right with me, but
I think they really tried to do their best when Sky they like to spin a narrative around their fixtures and get
yeah,
as many views, and I think they were probably went a bit overboard on that considering the context of what's going on in the world. Um,
yeah,
but I think overall, like the coverage, it was quite good. It's obviously still always a bit funny to see them stood 2 meters apart, and it just looks like they're having an awkward conversation. Did you see them interviewing Pep Guardiola and Arteta before their game,
yes.
and they were like kind of
Uh,
shouting questions at them?
Yeah, I found that all strange. And then the thing I really, really found strange, right, was so the players walk onto the pitch, no handshakes. Okay, fine. Substitutes sat 2 meters apart, fine.
Yep, makes sense.
Then you get onto the pitch, and obviously it's football, it's a contact sport. Then suddenly all of that goes out the window. Anything you want happens, or anything you want goes. There was some strong tackles that you end up tangled up with people. I think you pointed out as well, like when you're in a wall, opposition players get mixed in with the other team's players.
Shoulder to shoulder often, yeah.
Yeah, it was even I saw in the city game some of the celebrations they were hugging each other, and like I'm not blaming them. That's all part of the game. That's what happens. But then it just seems a bit weird that then they have those other rules, like the subs can't sit next to each other. Even looked at one point like the managers weren't even allowed on the touchlines. But I think maybe that was just the Sheffield manager's choice. I think he likes
Yeah, I think it was. I saw that as
he likes
well.
the view.
I think he just
And
preferred
I guess
having the
maybe he
view.
thought his players can probably still hear him from there anyway because there's no other there's no other noise, right?
Yeah, no. So,
um,
so on your points that you're making about the contact, yeah, you're right to be honest. And I think, if anything, it kind of highlights that playing these football matches wasn't entirely necessary. Um,
yeah, I mean, for me, I would have delayed it. Well, to be honest, I would have cancelled it. I would have done points per game, whatever, and just called it a day. Because it didn't really seem right to bring it back, but
It was strange,
it
and
is here. So
the difference is, I kind of took note of I was trying to play a game of what are the differences, and the things that I captured were that first of all, everyone now does these weird elbow bump type things instead of shaking hands or fist bumps. The what you've mentioned about no standing alongside each other in the pre-match ceremonies. There's no ball boys. They just have kind of like a ball on a cone. That's apparently disinfected every so often. The webcam supporters from home on the big screens, um, that was quite
It was different, right?
different, and I,
And it was interesting that City couldn't even fill their
it was
allocation of those as
yeah,
well, right?
it was quite funny. I wonder if moving forward they'll have a section that allows people to buy seats to watch from anywhere in the world. You never know. Like you could be in Australia watching.
Stick iPads on the seat, and you can get to see it out of the iPad's webcam or something
Yeah.
like that.
So, what did you think of the crowd noise versus no crowd noise option on Sky Sport?
I hated it.
See, I think me and you,
Absolutely hated
we've got opposite opinions here.
it. Yeah. So the first few minutes, I was like, okay, this is all right. This is fine. Because, most of the time you couldn't see the crowd anyway, because it was fairly zoomed in,
Yeah.
which that's a whole other story. But then as soon as the first chance happened, the delay was just horrendous for me.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was a Villa player who had the first chance. He's gone for the header. He's headed it wide. He's starting to run back to. He's trying to run back as they're doing the goal kick, and then suddenly goes ooh, and it's like, and I mean, I don't know what I expected, but and then there was another. The worst one was the Sheffield players hit the side netting, and they've
They couldn't
clearly
celebrate.
pressed the "this is a goal" or whatever,
Yeah.
and you can hear them start the celebration and then cancel it. And it wasn't, when I say hit the side netting, it like hit the very back of the side netting, like the furthest away from the goal that you could call side netting is what it hit, and they've pressed the like celebration button, and
No.
it's like
So I absolutely
I
love
hated it. Yeah,
that there's somebody's job is to watch and quickly press a button as quickly as he or she
I
can.
mean we're assuming it's a button. I think it must be people sat there with a button, right?
Yeah, and that's what I'm assuming. And
Yeah,
I love the fact that they could make a mistake and it just becomes hilarious. Like for example,
yeah,
the accidental goal noise and the ooh as the chances happen like 3 seconds before that.
yeah.
So
And I like that. I like that they gave you a choice, but then if you try and watch it in Ultra HD, the choice is taken away from you. They only show you the one with the crowd noise and switching to the webcams and stuff, and it's like, oh, this isn't what I want.
so so I'll
But,
tell you why I actually quite enjoyed it. So first of all, I mentioned earlier I was watching Bundesliga. When I was watching that, and also the LASK game against United, which was I think my first experience of watching a behind closed doors, no fans game. I found it so like very quiet, like and uncomfortably quiet to the point where it was quite boring. Um, and I like being able to hear what the players are saying. That's always quite humorous when they say funny stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I found it weird. So when I had this crowd option, I thought, yeah, let me give it a go, put it on. And a lot of the time, first of all, on the zoomed in angles, when you can't see the crowd, it would fool me that there was a crowd there or that I was watching the game pre-lockdown, pre-COVID world. Particularly in the City game as well, because the pitch is bigger. So a lot of the time when the ball was on the closest to the camera, you can't see the
yeah,
stands, so you kind of get away with it. And I think another thing as well. Sometimes when I'm watching football, I don't always have my eyes on the screen,
yeah,
and then so just
same,
kind of the
same.
noise in the background kind of felt more comfortable for me, just to have that kind of low noise. And I think they got it fairly well with the kind of chants and stuff. I think they missed some obvious ones. I saw you made a comment, MT,
Yeah.
about the VAR, the lack of the, the displeasure towards VAR chant that usually happens.
Oh yeah, I mentioned that on Twitter. That
Yeah,
yeah, I mean it's we won't say it out loud, but there's some chance that people usually
we want realism, right?
break out.
um,
They usually breaks out when VAR makes a mistake, and Sky suspiciously decided not to play that one.
Yeah,
But
but I think overall, I actually quite liked it. I thought it worked quite well, and I think these moments when they accidentally play the wrong sound too late and stuff like that, I think is quite hilarious. There was a moment where Dean Henderson made a save,
yeah,
and they played like this cheer noise for like half a second, and I was like, uh, no. First of all, I've never heard a crowd cheer that loud for a save, and second of
yeah,
all, if
unless it's
this
like a
was
penalty save or
yeah,
something.
and second of all, for if this was realistic and Sheffield United were away to Villa, there's no way you're gonna the noises of cheers would overpower the noises of the disappointment
Well,
from the Villa fans.
that's the other thing is I had a really hard time figuring out who was home and away. that
Oh yeah, I did as
was
well. Yeah,
that was really difficult. Even I mean in the City game, obviously the majority of the stadium was blue,
blue.
so
Yeah,
that
it
helped.
was obvious. Yeah,
But in Sheffield Villa, Obviously, red and claret is different,
Yeah,
but it wasn't different enough that I could easily figure out who was the home and away team.
yeah. And it was quite so one of the bits that I enjoyed of having the camera being able to pick up the audio was Jack Grealish going up for the captain's toss at the start of the game. And
Oh, I can't believe they even did that. What possible difference would it have shooting to different ends in
uh,
without a crowd at any of them?
but my favorite part was when he won the toss and got the option. He took like a couple
Yeah.
seconds to think about it, and I was just thinking, what's there to think about?
I think I think he was just confused as like
Yeah,
why
like
is
why
he
is he
even
asking?
asking?
Yeah,
Because it's like Sunday league football where
football,
one side is
yeah,
sloped or something or one side has got complete mud and no grass. It's a professional football pitch, right? There
yeah.
shouldn't have been much of it. I think he just looked as like yeah, we'll just stay as we are.
But but on, on on
um,
on your point about there's not any advantage, how do you think this is going to play out? Because interesting statistic I heard from good old Martin Tyler yesterday. He said that there's been 55 Bundesliga games and only 11 of those have resulted in a home win, and 26 have been away wins, and the rest draws. So it's kind of proving that the home and away advantage is no longer a thing, right? So now is it just down to pure technical ability? Because something I
yeah,
thought
I mean,
coming into the game of Sheffield Villa, because I've got some friends that are Villa fans. They're asking me what I think, and I said Sheffield have been really good this season. But I think one of the reasons why Sheffield have been really good is they kind of give that all-out, heart on your sleeve performance that really picks up from the crowd. And I think without that, I don't know if they'll have that shift, that gear shift of motivation. And to be honest, if this game had happened before lockdown, I
yeah,
would
you'd
have said
expect
Sheffield
a
would win.
comfortable Sheffield win,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I would have expected it, but watching that whole 90 minutes, to be honest,
There wasn't much in it. I
yeah,
mean,
they were
they were
completely
the better
wrong.
team, but they weren't. They weren't.
Yeah, I think nil-nil
There
kind of
wasn't
it was a fair result, slightly unfair as well because they did deserve the
because
one goal.
Henderson had a really good game actually as
He
well.
did,
So
yeah, he did.
Villa did have chances.
Yeah, so I'm starting to think now that moving forward, and also I assumed City were gonna completely, you know, destroy
Yeah,
Arsenal.
I don't think anything could have changed that.
um, so what do you think
um,
now? Do you think that football is now, well, for the rest of the season anyway, it's going to shift to completely whoever the best 11 are on that day in terms of footballing ability?
yeah, I mean, I think it's certainly still going. There might be the odd shock here or there, but certainly games where like United have not had a particularly good record at places like Brighton, for example.
Yeah.
Um, that I think now will probably change. I think they won't have an issue playing it because a lot of the smaller teams, if we take United as the example, when United come to town, for a lot of them, especially in the clubs who just new to the Premier League and stuff,
Yeah.
United is like the big.
It's a big
Even though
occasion,
we're
right?
not the big, we're not as it's not as we're not as dominant as we're not dominant at all, I guess. But we're not at our peak anymore. But it's still Man United, right? It's
Yep.
a lot of people. It's a big thing when United comes to town. I live in Milton Keynes. Even though they lost 4-0 when they came, that was the first time they even opened the top tier in the MK Don Stadium just to get,
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing that happens, and
It's the occasion as well,
then
right?
yeah, and
The smaller
those
teams.
home fans get well up for it, and
Yeah.
maybe some of the United players get intimidated by it, but
And also, it's the
uh,
fact that they know the game's televised, like friends and family are going to see them
yeah,
performing if they're not in the stadium, stuff like that.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of psychological elements to all sport, I guess, isn't it? So yeah,
Yeah.
taking the fans out, I would expect generally, yeah, the better teams. I think, yeah, I was listening to a podcast and they said in Germany, Bayern have won all their games
Hmm.
and Dortmund have won all their games they played except for the one when they played Bayern.
Yeah.
So, so, um, so yeah, I'd probably expect a similar thing. I mean, I think Liverpool and City probably win all their games.
I think so as well. Yeah.
Um, I mean, we've got Spurs. That's probably Spurs away is away-ish. Um, it's a interesting start, but if we get through that, then yeah, I don't see us dropping many points after that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's gonna be a case now of just who's the better footballing side. You take away the whole mental side and coping with pressure and all that
Yeah,
kind of stuff. I'm expecting to see Andreas Pereira score a hat trick every other game, preseason Perlo. Chong to do well. Even Dan James. I think players like this now, I think it will be better for them. Because they'll have
yeah,
that mental, they won't have a crowd screaming at them. They won't have that, 70,000 eyes on them and stuff like that.
and even if a lot of things happen quite in the past is in these games United have gone down a goal early.
Yep. Yep.
That's happened quite a lot to these sort of lower table teams.
Hmm.
and that's when then the crowd really gets up for it.
You're right.
So I reckon there might even be some more comebacks if the lower teams get an early goal. The bigger teams, I think, they'll produce a lot of comebacks as well now.
Yeah, I think you're
Um,
right as well. And I think there's probably I think maybe the refereeing quality may improve as well because the referee they won't have fans all over their backs anymore, and the players are genuinely
yeah.
quite respectable in this league. You rarely see them now surrounding the
Well,
ref or anything.
they might the players might have to think twice now, right? Even if they
Yeah.
weren't respectful before, they now know everything they say is going to get picked up on camera, definitely.
Oh yeah, 100%.
so, so they've got to be careful, I guess, with what they're saying.
And the referee will probably be less afraid to make a red card decision, for example, and say, I'm not going to get any stick for this. And just do it.
Yeah, I don't know. What did you see last night's one? I thought that was a little bit harsh, the red card.
David Luiz.
But, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, he was last man. He was last man and stuff. But I thought they got rid of this
yeah. I
double
thought they
jeopardy
changed the
rule.
rules, so it didn't really make
Yeah,
entirely. And it's not like he went in with like a dangerous tackle, right? He
yeah,
kind of pulled
exactly.
him to the ground.
There was contact. It was a foul. It was a penalty. But I think a yellow card would have been fair. But um, yeah. City I think started off pretty sluggishly, but they did get better, and Arsenal did get a lot worse.
Oh yeah, they did really get
um,
declined, didn't they? They're having some major problems. I don't know what's going on behind the
well,
doors there.
I think we have a lot of banter with Arsenal fans, right? But
Yeah, sure.
they are one of the most deluded fan bases out there, I think. And I remember a lot of them praising David Luiz a lot, especially since Arteta's come in.
Yeah.
And last night was just a kind of remember, this is what this is what he does. This is the real David Luiz.
Yeah, he's been known to do it. I swear he does it like every season. He just makes a crazy
Yeah,
decision, and I don't know if that guy was made to be like a central midfielder CDM type. Because at the back he makes too many mistakes, and at the back you make a
yeah,
mistake, it usually results in a goal.
yeah. He needs. I think he did quite well at that with Chelsea, right? When he had Terry and I can't remember who else behind him,
Yeah.
Cahill maybe. Then he actually did okay because they were there to mop up of his mistakes. But yeah, I don't know. I was going to ask you something else about the Arsenal game now. There were quite a few injuries they had as well.
Yeah, they
So
did. Yeah.
Xhaka was off early. That looked like an impact one.
Yeah.
But then I think it was Mari, the centre
Mari,
back.
yeah.
His seemed pretty innocuous. But I guess that might happen quite a bit if players aren't match fit.
That's
It's a risk.
It's another interesting one actually, because if you consider how much time they've had off, they've effectively had like almost a end of season break, and now they're coming back
Yeah,
into the Premier League. So do you think
and they've had a
they can be
short
fresher?
pre-season basically.
Yeah. Do you think they'll be fresher? I reckon they'll take maybe 4 or 5 games to get match fit, and then after that they'll kind of be at full steam rather than if it was a normal season, and at the end of the season you're kind of getting more
Yeah,
injuries.
maybe.
Players get
It
tired.
depends on we were just discussing before we started the fixture list. I mean, so we've got Spurs tomorrow, then we've got Sheffield Wednesday, or Sheffield United on Wednesday, I should say.
Yeah.
And then I mean, it feels like we were discussing like how many games we're going to play before our next podcast. It feels like we're going to play like 100 games before that. And of course, I think you've got Europa League, Champions League's been moved to August. FA Cup, I think, is August as well.
Have they announced? I haven't checked.
Yeah, I think FA Cup is going to be similar to how they're going to do all these. They're just going to be all done in a week, basically, potentially.
Okay.
But yeah, we just got to see how it goes. So yeah, we've got.
And
I mean, they've changed. Yeah, speaking of the injuries, they've added that 5 subs rule. Right?
Yeah, 5 subs rule. I was gonna say that's quite handy as well. And I think we'll see a lot more of like within the United. If we're talking United, I think we'll see a lot more of like Chong and Gomez, hopefully. Because why not? Right, we've got so many games.
I think we're going to see Pereira and Lingard every game then, right? You got five subs, then
roll on, roll off, something come back on again.
Yeah.
Same game.
But yeah, I think the other thing is that for me that kind of invalidates Liverpool's title, right? Because the rules have changed, halfway through the season, so it's not the same competition that it was when we started the season.
There is going to be a big asterisk against it, right?
Yeah, there's always going to be an asterisk there now.
What do you think about the Champions League? Because whoever wins this Champions League, let's be honest, it's not the same
That's
as
going to have a
winning any
massive
other
asterisk.
Champions League.
Yeah, because you've lost the home and away. I mean, you talk about home and advantage. We talked about in the Premier League. In Europe, it's a huge thing, right?
Huge, incredible. Yeah.
You got away goals is no longer a thing.
So it's going to be a massive.
All the games are going to be decided on one night, right? So yeah.
So my prediction is City will win it because it will be a massive asterisk version of the Champions League.
I think that's like UEFA's nightmare, right? Is if City win it when they're about to start their 2-year ban. Um, I don't know how they're gonna get get around that one.
Like we'll have another
Um,
tournament, 3 days.
I just say, oh no, it's, uh, City winner stays on for City until someone beats them, and then they can finally move on. Um, but yeah, so we've gone on for about 25 minutes now. I guess we're aiming to hit half an hour, so we'll do a quick preview, I guess, of so we've got Spurs tomorrow night or
Yes,
tonight, depending on when you hear it. Um, Before the lockdown, I was very much looking forward to this game because Spurs were all over the place.
Kane was out
Now
of
I
it.
don't know. I think it could be tough because they've got a lot of good players back. They got Son,
Yep,
Kane, Ali's out. He's suspended.
yep.
Eric Dyer, I'm not really sure what happened with him. I know. I mean, he should be getting a ban surely.
The last I saw was Eric Dyer went very rogue, and since then it's gone very quiet.
I mean, I'd imagine he's getting a ban surely, but I don't know.
It's gonna be so we're away, right? Well, away-ish, let's call it. And I think, to be honest, I can't see why we can't win that game. It's gonna be a bit tough because they have got Harry Kane and Son back. Um, but I think it'll be a good game, definitely. I don't think it'll be a draw. Uh,
I think the benefit we've got is Kane's going to be well out of match practice, right?
yeah,
And I think he has shown in previous years when he comes back from an injury, it does take him a while to get going.
and Tottenham
Um,
do have they don't have a very young team. So maybe
no,
they'll have a bit more of they'll be a bit more rigid. They're not quite hitting their looseness yet. So hopefully that will go for us. Also,
yeah,
I'll be
everyone's fit for us as well, pretty much, right? Except Phil Jones, of course.
not
But
surprised. I'm fully expecting to hear Jose on the side just shouting derogatory terms at Pogba and
Pogba,
yeah,
Pogba's going to be on the bench, and they've got to get Souness for that game, right? And see see what happens there.
they really need to. I think you mentioned as well. They really need to put some more mics around the benches and stuff now because now you'll actually be able to hear them.
Yeah,
It'd be quite
I would much
interesting
rather that
content.
if they're giving us these fake crowd noise, I'd much rather instead they need to put a microphone on each manager and some like I don't know,
Referee.
long range ones on the to point at the players. I want to hear what they're saying. And maybe they have to move some games to after the watershed, but but yeah, I think that'd be much more interesting than the fake crowd.
No, it would be very interesting.
Um,
So what's your prediction then for United Spurs?
I think I don't know. I mean, we were talking about the home advantage not being a thing, but they're still a decent team. I think it's not the game I would have preferred to start with.
Yeah, agree.
Um, I'm gonna go 2-1 United, 3-1 United.
Yeah, I'm feeling that 2-1 to United. Pogba to score, Fernandes to score, and then
That's the thing with Bruno in the team. I just don't see how we can lose a game.
yeah, we're still quite on a high from that, and I can't
I
see him
still, still,
declining.
yeah, still on the Bruno hype. So with him and Igalo's still here, so that's good. So we've got some depth. Rashford's back.
I'm really looking
Pogba's
forward
back.
to having Rashford back because he was on fire before that injury he picked up.
Yeah,
It's
and generally,
crazy.
like our midfield now, we've got unbelievable amount of options.
No, it's crazy. I was even yesterday the City game when Sane was back, and I was just like, "Bloody, football's been gone for that long that there were players that weren't going to play this
Yeah,
season are now back." Like
Yeah, well, yeah. So Sane, Pogba,
Rashford,
Rashford, Kane,
these are all
uh,
players that were supposed to be out till the end of the
they're
season.
done. And like,
Yeah,
and same for the Euros as well. I guess we could talk about that quickly. So that was scheduled to start last week. Um,
wow.
and obviously England were going to have a bit of an issue because Kane was out, Rashford was out. I feel like there was someone else. Abraham's had some injuries, hasn't he, as well?
Yeah, Abraham was. I think they were looking at Danny Ings to lead or Vardy
Yeah,
to come
to
out of
lead the line,
retirement.
which he's had a good season to be fair.
Yeah,
But when you got the quality of Kane and Rashford, you'd prefer them to be to be the main guys.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, let's see. So, what's your prediction then for United Spurs?
My prediction, yeah, is 2-1. I think they'll score a goal, but I feel like we'll win that game, and I really hope we do win that game. And then we've got a game followed by against Sheffield. Now
Oh
that
yeah,
game, if this was pre-lockdown, I would have said it would have been a tough game, because Sheffield they're good, they're compact, but I feel like
yeah,
we'll win that game. I feel like we should win it, and also big factor is they won't have Henderson in goal. Um,
that's true.
and he's been phenomenal this season. And I think without him, as long as we can get some relatively testing shots on goal, we should score, right? Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm confident we'll get a win with that. I'd go as far as to say 3-0. What about you?
Yeah, so I don't want to over exaggerate tomorrow's importance, but I think like our entire season depends on tomorrow because we have that capability of either
Yeah,
going on a really really good run or going on a really really bad run.
yeah,
so so if we start off tomorrow badly, then I don't know. I think it could go pretty ugly. Sheffield next week, then Norwich in the cup. We could end up, you know,
yeah.
causing ourselves some issues.
No,
But assuming my prediction for tomorrow comes true, then yeah, I think 3-0 sounds fair enough for.
yeah.
Um,
And those 3 points will be vital because Sheffield are not far behind us.
well, yeah, so we can put a massive dent in like securing, making sure we're in the top five
Yeah,
in that just in winning the next two games because Spurs are in the run for it. Yeah, how many points are Spurs behind us? So Spurs are 4 points behind us, so that'll be 7 if we beat them. Sheffield's 1 point, so that'll be 4 if we beat them.
so it's
Then it's only
massive.
really Wolves that we have to worry about for fifth.
That's the worst thing about the return of football is you have to watch a game against Wolves again.
have,
I
we,
feel
have
like
we got have we got Wolves?
I
Are
don't
you
know.
sure we've got
I
another
just
game
I
against
just
Wolves?
feel like even if we don't, they will just somehow make one happen.
Let's just add it in
I,
because are they in the Europa League still?
I swear,
I think
I
they might
think
be.
they
I
are.
think they might be in the Europa still. So,
I swear I've watched them play it like 6 times this season.
so yeah, you're right. There's still a chance that
God, please don't.
we might end up facing Wolves one more time. But yeah, I mean, if it gets to that, just cancel it all, right?
Yeah.
just
Just spin the whole season for
just
this.
just forget it. Just withdraw from the cups. Just call it a day. We can't keep just playing Wolves every week.
Please, not
But
again.
but yeah. So yeah, I guess that's kind of brought us quite nicely to the end for this week. So yeah, it's nice to be back. If you enjoyed it, let us know. Leave us a review on iTunes or something, or you can find us on Twitter and Instagram if we can remember our passwords. At Never Ignored Pod. And yeah, we will see you guys next week.
Cheers all.